Hey everyone, so today I have a highly requested false lash tutorial for you all. Lashes come in a variety of different styles. What you want to remember is to keep an eye on the thickness of the lash band because this will determine whether you need an extra prep step or not. Chunkier or darker lash bands are harder to hide, so you'll need some sort of definition along the lash line, whether this be eyeshadow all over the lid, adding a winged liner, a kohl pencil or smoking an eyeshadow along the upper lash line, or if the band is thin enough, nothing at all. Once you've chosen your lashes, you want to hold the lash between your fingers and your thumb and curl the lash into a C shape. That way the lash will sit to the shape of your eye and there will be less of a chance of those edges popping up. Now you want to measure the false lash along your upper lash line and try to align the false lash with your natural lashes as best as you can. This can be a little tricky because glue isn't being used at this point, but by using your own lashes as a guide, you'll be able to roughly judge if you need to trim the lashes to complement your own. If you do need to trim them, make sure you do it from the outer edge of the lash band. Before we go any further, let's talk about glue. Here are some of my favourite glues. I alternate between black and white. White glue may be easier for beginners because it changes colour as it's drying, so you'll have a better idea of when the lash is ready to be applied. You want to apply the lash when the glue is tacky, and you'll know when white glue is sticky because as it's drying, the glue will turn a kind of clear or see-through colour, whereas with the black it's a little harder to determine. It does have its benefits though, but more on that later on. There are a couple of different ways that you can apply glue to the lash band. You can either apply glue to the back of your hand and then directly dip the lash in, or you can squeeze some glue onto the back of a tweezers and then paint the glue along the lash band. Whichever way you choose to apply the glue, you'll have full control over the amount of glue that is applied to the lash band. Moving on to the first application technique. The next part is all about personal preference. It's not my preference, but if you want, you can add mascara to your own lashes next. Some people like to do this because their own lashes then act as a sort of step for the lashes to sit on. I don't like this method for that very reason. I find the false lashes sit on top of my natural lashes opposed to blending in with my natural ones. What I like to do is I like to curl my lashes first, which gives me a little lift, so it's a temporary step for my lashes to sit on. In terms of application, I like to use a tweezers. I place the false lash on the centre of my lid, so on the skin close to the lash line, not directly onto the lashes themselves. Once that's stuck down, I tack down the outer corner and I just press it in and hold the lash there for a couple of seconds just to allow it to adhere to the skin, and then I repeat the process again with the inner edge. Once the false lash is stuck in place, I then give the lashes a little squeeze to mush my own ones in with the false ones. These lashes from Kiss are very natural, but as you can see there are some little white spaces on the lash band. It's not noticeable unless you're close up, but if you really want to hide the fact you're wearing lashes, you can colour the little dots in, and to do this I coat the band only with a felt tip liner pen. Finally then, I like to add a very light coat of mascara to further blend my own lashes in with the false ones, and then that's it. So as you can see, these particular lashes provide a very natural but noticeable difference to the eye and are perfect for any occasion really. This time I'm applying a lash with a thicker or darker lash band, and I've added my winged liner and I'm applying the lash just in the same way as before. So down in the centre of the lid and then tack in the inner and outer corners. If you used white glue, sometimes you'll need to go over the glue with your liner because even though the glue dries clear, it does dry a little shiny. On the other hand, if you use the black glue, you won't have to touch up, and it's a good one to use if you're lazy like me. In my opinion, black glue is foolproof. If you over apply the white glue or don't let it dry enough before you apply the lash to the eye, the lash can slip and slide around. It can be very messy and a pain to fix, whereas if you used black glue and added a winged liner, your mistake won't be noticeable. As I've said though, they both have their pros and cons, and I like to use white glue for this next technique because the glue is easier to see. For this technique, you want to apply some glue to the upper lash line using a brush you don't care too much for. This is just an old one by Blank Canvas Cosmetics. It's an eyeliner brush and I keep it solely for this purpose because I don't mind if the bristles get damaged. Alternatively, you could use a cotton bud if you didn't have a brush to sacrifice. Once the glue is in place and has started to dry clear, place your lashes in position and then that's it. So again, you're controlling the amount of glue that goes on the lid, and with this technique in particular, where it goes. So you don't have to worry about over applying the glue and it smudging past your lash line and ruining your makeup. In relation to the removal of false lashes, I simply soak a cotton pad in either some micellar water or an oil-based makeup remover. I hold the cotton pad over my eye for a minute to allow the product to break down the glue, and then I simply swipe the pad downwards. If you've left it long enough, the lash will just come right off. So I hope you found the video helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next tutorial.